I'm excited to welcome Patty Pokerchuk today, and she's going to be answering these and other tough questions about living your life without any regrets.
I was 25 and I was 10 feet tall. You know how you are at that age. You're invincible. You own the world is your oyster. You can do anything. And as you can tell, I was also a fashion statement. If that's not a geek, I don't know who is. But I'd actually achieved most of my short-term goals. For the former juvie, juvenile delinquent, I was kicked out 3 times in grade 10 from a private boarding school my parents paid for me to go to. I vowed never to go to university, but at 25, I had 2 degrees. I had my blue chip finishing school, which was IBM. I was literally the least likely to succeed in sales. I was a trained geek, a programmer. That was my first career. But I'd made it at IBM, and sales was where I wanted to go. But I ended up, the ultimate goal at IBM was to get into sales, get a quota, make your quota, and hit this 100% club. It was the ultimate goal. And I got there my first year in sales, and I went, really? Is that all there is? There has to be more to life than this, because back then, there was few women in technology, and it wasn't really attractive. And I'm going, I don't want to do more of these. There has to be more to life. Supposedly, I had it all, but I wasn't happy. One reason was I was one of the first in my family to get a degree. I'll get into my background. I'm a first-generation Canadian. My parents had gifted me a trip to Europe in between my 2 degree years. And I fell in love in Paris, not just with Paris, but, the Parisian, of course. And all I wanted to do was, I had still another year and a half to study, and I had student debt, but all I wanted to do was go back to Europe and spend a longer period of time. My roots are European, and I had this great desire. After going through Italy and Rome and Florence and Venice, it was just like, I have to go back. So that's when I had this choice to make. At 25, supposedly I had it all, but I wasn't happy inside. There was a restlessness. I had to do something. And at that point, even though I was scared, and I was by myself, and I was this little girl who looked about 20 years old, and I was going, okay, but what's my choice? What are my options? I could go and marry the boyfriend, have 2.2 kids, and live in a white picket house. Or I looked forward and went, no. I could always have that. I can always go back, but I had to take that big chance and just go for it. So there's the scariest thing, and some of you might have experienced it, is a one-way ticket. I'm used to round-trip tickets. So you come home again. So getting, in New York City, I got on a one-way ticket to London, and about 8 months later, I ended up in Greece, and I went to every place in between. And it was finally in Greece where I went, now this is someplace different. So at the end of my year, so of course I have to make money again. And I knew Toronto. I spent 25 years of my life in Toronto. I was like, okay, making that big decision to leave everything behind, that took a lot. But then, the next big decision, which was, hey, we'll stay another year. Okay, I'll start working in Germany. I had friends of friends in Munich. If anybody's been to Munich, it's a beautiful city. I'm half German. I'd been picking up the language, and I was like, maybe I'll just stay here. And that decision was so much easier. And every time you make a big decision, all the other decisions are less there. So how can you live a life without regrets? Because it's really not about me, it's about you living the biggest abundant life that you can have. And there's really 3 things. One is you have to know what you want, you have to ask for what you want, and realize that all of life is a choice. So we're just going to go through this briefly. So what I find, and my partner in crime here will know, when I say, you want a job, and she wants a job in project management, well, that's a huge field. Like where? You have to really know in as much detail as possible, what do you want? And I find that we use the term manifest. And the last time when I needed to reinvent my life and it wasn't working, and I sat down with a pen and paper, and they say they're using pen and paper is what really reinforces the connection between mind, body, and soul. And if you write down your perfect job, and what it looks like. And how far is your commuting? Are you on a bicycle? Are you walking? Are you driving? What are the color of your walls? When you look out your window, what do you see? Are you in a big company, small company? What's it like? How many holidays do you get? What kind of pay do you get? And I did that for myself, and I got 9 out of 10 in those things that I wanted. The other one is a vision board, for example. But this is what, just the start of my sort of perfect day, and what my life now looks like, where I don't wake up with an alarm. I do some yoga, I do some meditation, I read my paper, I drink my coffee, I live on the lake, I go for a beautiful walk. And this is just just a short description of what my perfect day looks like. But you have to do this for yourself. And if you do it, then the next time you meet somebody, you can say, I want a job in human resources, in human capital consulting. So you know exactly. Once you know what you want, you can ask for it. The other one I'm really big on, which is sort of more for life goals, is having a vision board. And this is just a short, I do them digitally. I don't use like magazines, but you can use magazines. And as you see, there's friends, family, adventure, road trips with my dog, and then my Mr. Wonderful. He's an avatar, he's blank, right? Which that lady over there knows about. Remember, once you know what you want, you have to ask for it, which is the next step. And so I'm asking everybody here, a lady of my age is usually married, but I'm not, so I'm single. And I am looking for my Mr. Wonderful. I want somebody who makes me laugh, who's intelligent, who's really, really nice, respects me, can stand up to a strong woman like I am, and Wendy too. Can I plug in for you? But again, unless you ask for what you want, you're never going to get it. So there's my ask, right? And the more specific you can be, and age, I date younger, put it that way. But if you don't know what you want, if you say I want a job in marketing, it's so big. I can't visualize that. And making changes in your life and a lot of you have come from different countries, and it's scary. I've been an immigrant, which you'll hear my story in a minute. But the biggest regret is, the biggest thing is to have regrets. So this is my little tool that I use, is for all of you to fast forward to 90, 95, 100. I always envision this as where you're sitting with your best friend, you're on a rocking chair, and you're 90 years old, and you're talking about what you coulda, shoulda done in your life. And by then, it's too late. Right? You're never going to learn how to scuba dive. You're never going to climb, Mount Everest. You're never going to go on a cruise around the world because you're probably too old and frail to do that. So my hypothesis is your regret when you look forward in your life is your dream for today. So think about that. Think about the one big thing. For me, it was when I was 25 and I went, if I don't live in another country and I don't travel for a year, I will regret not having done that. That was my big thing. I regret some of the things I've done in my life, but I don't have any big regrets. And I think if you think ahead of what is really important to you, that you can look back and go, I wish, the 5 regrets of the dying, they regret what they didn't do. I regret some of the stuff I did do, but that was fun. That adds to the character. But the way to get your dreams done is to write them down again. Tell people, and then it will make them happen. Yeah. So how to ask for what you want. And here's a shameless plug for Marlene's book, because I can't really get into it. How to ask for what you want comes from inside. First of all, it's how you think of yourself, self-esteem. And there's a great chapter in the ACE Abundance book, chapter 12, on how to improve your self-esteem. There's some great affirmations that he recommends that you read and recite every day. So it's a book that you can actually savor and read and reread. Confidence comes from your achievements. But then the best way to ask for things is just take a deep breath and ask for it. That's it. It's not really that. And this is what we were talking about earlier, is if you have fear, is the only way through fear, as validated by Tony Robbins, is massive action. And that's what I think why I've been successful and my clients have been successful in their lives, is because I just go, okay, it's good to have a plan, good to have a strategy, but let's go do something. As Jim was saying before, you can be in any business, but you have to know how to sell and market. And if people are afraid, as part of my promise is here, if you can see it, as I take people from sales fear to sales fun, and we do that by getting into action. To get over the fear, you have to look at your accomplishments. What have you done in the past? If you're in business for yourself, I always say, don't listen to me, I'm in sales, but listen to the results that my clients have achieved. I have like this brag sheet, because what's important is that they closed more business, they doubled their income, they closed contracts for 20 grand more. That's the important part. So part of living an abundant life too is being grateful. And I think a main reason why a lot of you are here is because Canada is a wonderful place to be. And being grateful, part of that is looking at what you have and being blessed, or being grateful for what you have and not focusing on what you don't have. I was saying before, I pretty much grew up in World War III of German Ukrainian heritage, which is why this cover is appropriate, because it's the Nazi and the communists, and they fought. My dad was only 15 when the Germans came to take him from his village and took him away to fight in World War II. And literally my parents fought for all their lives. It was pretty awful. And when again, you look at, people complain about the quality of life. In my travels, in that year of travel, I traveled through some communist countries because I wanted to see what life was like. This was my first class washroom in Romania. And I always said you could sit on the toilet, brush your teeth, and have a shower all at the same time. It was that small, and this is first class. It would cost me a fortune. If you notice the cinder blocks, things that we take so for granted. And the border crossings would take me hours to get through, with my last name being Pokerchuk, and they're going, where's you from? But they would have like the spikes coming up, so you couldn't really just run. I also, you can't see it too well with the lights, but this is a mud hut in Togo. My sister lived in Togo for a while, so I went through some third world countries. And these are mud huts where people have no running water, no electricity. They're living in mud huts. Haiti, in part of my software business, I got to do an installation in Haiti where there's amazing poverty. And I literally had Johnny with the shotgun escorting me around. And things we take for granted, the safety, that we've just been named the best country ever again, it's the best place to live. And if you've lived in other countries, I think you understand how safe and secure we are here. And here's one of my challenges to you, what I think really changed my life a few years ago, was that I spent 365 days, every night, as I wrote 3 to 5 things I was grateful for every day. And I think it truly rewires your brain if you do that on a daily basis for 365 days. Some of the words to lose in taking responsibility for yourself is that I can't, which really means I won't, which, there's guilt, there's worry, which are useless emotions to have. Replace them instead with I will, I'm happy. Do you choose to be happy? Be focused on something. This phrase has really made a change in my life, it really makes you reflect on your own self-worth. Because whatever else somebody else thinks of me is none of my business. And it really is like, ooh, I don't know. It was something that really changed to me. And talking about change, this is kind of an interesting exercise to do. If you can clasp your hands together, yeah, like Wendy's doing, and you'll notice one of your thumbs is on top. And this is your little party trick, which is usually the top thumb means your left or right brain. Whatever thumb is on top means your left or right brain, either left where you're analytical or right more creative. Now, change your thumb slightly. Okay, just cross them over. Feels a little awkward, right? Not quite natural. And that's what change, that's what the 1% change is. Because if you want to change your lifestyle, you want to lose weight, as they say, the trip of 1,000 miles starts with one step. You eat an elephant bite by bite by bite, but you can do it by persistence. No matter what you do in your life, this is part of my sort of sales thing, is you have to go out and kiss a lot of frogs. Whether you're looking for a job, whether you're looking for customers, you have to go out, and this was just, when I had my software business, I would just always say, okay, I'm out kissing frogs, because unless you kiss frogs, and the first one's for the women, then you kiss enough frogs, you'll get your Prince Charming or Princess Charming. But you have to kiss those frogs first. So I'm a very anti-gun person. But this, again, in one of my crisis times, a really good friend of mine said, who's holding the gun to your head? You know, we have these have to, coulda, shoulda, you know, things I have to do that we feel we have to do, and we don't really. They're just things that we've told ourselves our family expects us of us, society expects us of us. And it really isn't. Who's holding the gun to your head? When you're in overwhelm, when you're doing things that you don't really want to do, think about it. Who really is holding the gun to your head? You know, when you look at choices that we have, and I love this slide because it's like in sales, people buy emotionally and then they justify logically. But people buy through emotion. And that's where I think the tug of war comes, where emotionally you're wondering about what your family thinks, your friends thinks, your boss thinks, but logically think about what you really want. The only way to happiness is to choose it. So one of the biggest changes in my life, and where the laptop, my book is coming out next year, is The Accidental Farmer, From Laptop to Llama and Back Again. And I also call it my period of temporary insanity. I got married, moved to the country outside of Ottawa, and started Down to Earth Gardens because I had a green thumb. And this is, so there's the llama and the goat. I would say this garden porn. That's the view from my barn, lots of flowers. We had weddings. We always had lambs and different animals. There was Daffy, our duck, and the dogs. So, the one thing, whether you're looking for a job, you're looking for a mate, you're looking for customers, just remember no means next opportunity. Never take it personally, because they're just saying no to your offer. So never take it personal. And the other one here is also, have you eaten your frog yet? And this frog, in this case, is Brian Tracy, where do the difficult stuff first. If you don't like cold calling, you don't want to follow up on your resume or your application, do that first. Just get it over and done with. The rest of your day will be a lot easier. So finally, the other thing, and I'm sure Persistent Patty is one of my nicknames too, and that's what I think got me through being good in sales, was just being persistent, never giving up. But the one thing that I love is that do or do not, there is no try. When I was an illegal immigrant in England and Germany, it was just pure persistence, because I knew with my IT background I would eventually get my work permit. But if I'd given up at the first obstacle, I would have not lived 9 years in Europe. So that's why don't try, just do it. One thing to remember is an old movie, Thelma and Louise, but it's, you get what you settle for. And all I'm saying is don't settle for anything but extraordinary. You have it within us, so do it. Know what you want, ask for it. It's all choices. So this is my line, which again, Jim sort of validated. If I can be a farmer, you can be anything you want to be. If you're passionate about it, you can learn about it, but you do have to know how to sell and market. That was my saving grace. I had never in my wildest dream did I ever think I'd be a farmer, but I made it because I knew how to sell and market. And people ask, what am I doing now? So this is the back again. I'm back in my hometown after a 30-year detour. I started 6 businesses in 5 years. But now I am a coach. I help grow businesses. It's all about sales and marketing. That's what I do, what I love, and I think I'm pretty good at it. So finally, this has been my motto, being self-employed for over 20 years. Have fun and make money. The more fun you have, the more money you'll make. And if you're not having fun, who cares about the money?